The great Johnny Depp was vaping, and we all know what happened with him. I'm looking at how your dark thoughts can come about with vaping, and new science is showing us exactly that. So let's figure out how we can get to a more positive place because of that. Firstly, let's go inside. You see, vaping is a thing that is replacing generally people's smoking habits. So that's all well and good, for sure. In many ways, it's an attempt, isn't it, to try and get off cigarettes and try and be a little bit more healthy. But if we look at the likes of this particular study, it says, quote unquote, vaping could cloud your thoughts, your study suggests. Both adults and kids who vape were more likely to report difficulty concentrating, remembering, or making decisions than their non-vaping, non-smoking peers on two annual national surveys. Surveys results all suggest that kids were more likely to experience mental fog if they started vaping before the age of 14. Trust me now, I have dealt with young children of such an age, under 14 for sure, for years and years, and also over 14. Any child that's certainly smoking, there's definitely a depreciation in the way they're thinking. Their developing brain is definitely going to be affected. But vaping now, with this study, and you can see there's always been curiosity and kind of criticisms over vaping, but it's been proven here now that there's actually mental fog going on there with vaping as well. The two studies of the University of Rochester Medical Centre, URMC, have uncovered an association between vaping and mental fog. Dark thoughts are in fog, darkness, fog, all of that grimy stuff is not good for us. Both adults and kids who vape were more likely to report difficulty concentrating, remembering and making decisions, and non-vaping or non-smoking peers, of course, were more improved. It also appeared that children under 14 and so on are more... children under 14, look, we're looking back at smoking, we're looking at madmen, crazy children, crazy parents, if we continue to allow our children to be vaping, to be smoking and so on, and young people at that age. It's crazy. Why would we depreciate people when we know there's these horrible brain things like Alzheimer's and dementia occurring in older people? Why would we handicap them from such a young age? It's absolutely nuts. Quote unquote, our studies add to growing evidence that vaping should not be considered a safe alternative to tobacco smoking, said author Lee. The studies published in the journal Tobacco-Induced Diseases and Plus One analysed over 18,000 substantial, huge study, middle and high school students' responses to the National Youth Tobacco Survey, and more than, listen to this, 886,000 responses to the Behavioural Risk Factor Surveillance System phone survey from the US. That's like nearly 1 million people. There's like 330 million in the States alone. That's 1/330th of, that's a substantial study. That's a massive study. And they found both surveys ask similar questions about smoking and vaping habits, as well as issues with memory, attention and mental function. Both studies, regardless of age, so it's not just young people, adults too, regardless of age, are more likely to report struggling with mental function. Whoa, a struggle with your mental function. That means that, like, fog is a very generalized term. Our brains do many things that we just take for granted. Even since the start of this video, I'm remembering, I'm talking, I'm thinking, I'm analysing, I'm planning what I'm going to say. There's loads of different things, and I'm reading as well, and I'm also, trying to imagine what you might want to hear. So there's loads of different things that my brain is bing bong over and back, left and right, centre, hemisphere and so on, that I'm doing all these different things, and I'm like trying to figure it all out myself because I'm amazed by this study. So the fog can, if you think about fog in a forest or fog on a road, say, fog is just going to go across the area, isn't it? It's going to just linger, and it's going to be there. So that means all your areas, your capabilities, your faculties, your skills that you build up, remembering, think of the games you played as a child, maybe those cards that you flip up over and back and you try and remember the pictures on them. Think of your ability to be able to plan. Everybody needs to plan. We use mobile devices and we've used these to kind of plan things, and people are then forgetting things because they're not planning, they're not using their skills enough. Think of the ability to speak, the ability to speak clearly, the ability to communicate, to listen, to attend to people, to even analyze. All of these different things, it's going to be a fog. It's going to be depreciation, a change across your brain. And of course all those different things work together in harmony to produce, for example, a speech or a video or something written or something excellent or something that you can express or communicate, or even your basic way of working. So if you're working, your work is going to be infected even by vaping. It's crazy. So there's a rise in vaping, which is a concern. And of course they also said, even though I said, hey, it's across all the age groups, the adolescents, the young people are actually really, they're succumbing to this. And like, how long do you have to vape for? I mean, if you're vaping for, if you have smaller lungs as a child, as a young person, and so if you're growing, you're doing that critical developmental stage, you're actually impeding, you're just cutting across it, and you're damaging your ability to develop your brain to its maximum capacity. And this is scary because if you do something, for a year or two, 16, 17 years of age, you're like, I can give it up, yeah, whatever. We've all done that. But the reality is at 25, 30, 40, you don't have the genetic components within your brain straight away to actually continue doing what your uncle can do, your father can do, your mother, your auntie, and so on, because there might be genetic way or hereditary more so way of actually being good at something, or being a good communicator, or being a good speaker, or being a good writer, whatever. So there's these different skills, and just as I kind of fumbled my words there, you might fumble your words because that's the brain fog coming through when you're a little bit older, and that's embarrassing. We need to understand then, in order to quit, why we are vaping in the first place. And there's helplines out there. You need to plan. We said brain fog, but you actually need to plan for a time and a date that you're going to prepare to stop vaping, to vape the vape, to put it into the fog, and off it goes, and the fog goes. Is it hard to quit? They say it can be difficult because of nicotine addiction, and one of the biggest hurdles is managing nicotine withdrawal. The first day may be difficult, but then it gets easier and easier. The nicotine withdrawal symptoms you have to be aware of then are feeling irritable, jumpy. Imagine jumping, not jumping around. You wouldn't want to be jumping around like you would in the fog, but feeling irritable, jumpy, jittery, restless, because essentially there's a chemical being pumped into you, isn't there? And that you're stopping it now. So that chemical, your body, then your brain is actually, it's taking it in, and it's like it's the water and the food and the drink for the brain, and it thinks that this is how I should start acting. So you have to get rid of that. You might have headaches because of that, and that makes sense because your brain is withdrawing. And then you have depression. So your brain is actually, all those areas of the brain, the planning and so on, that's where the depression is stored as well. So it's like, if you enjoy the ride, you've got to be able to enjoy getting off the ride as well, and the downer and the high after it, and know that it's just a false high. Trouble sleeping, feeling hungry, intense desire to vape, and that's the thing, you're going to be challenged like you've never been challenged before to get rid of this. So you have to try and plan for it. You really have to realize that you need help, and there's help there to be got to. So hope this video has been of some help, and that you will give it up, please, and your brain will be healthy. If not, well, it's up to you, isn't it? Anyway, until next time, please subscribe.